The planets operate like the organs of the human body. The liver does what the liver does, the kidney does what the kidney does, Mars does what Mars does, and Venus does what Venus does. And you might be like, oh, the planets don't actually do anything, they just exist for no reason. He's like, okay, the liver just exists for no. It's like a doctor saying that what's the organ that they say doesn't do anything in the body that can be removed? What was it? It's the appendix or something. Like, oh, you don't need the appendix. It doesn't actually do anything, right? So the doctors will just remove the appendix from the body, and so, or like the foreskin or whatever, like just because you don't know what it does doesn't mean it doesn't do anything, right? So, the planets in Vedic astrology are like the energy centers of the universe. It's like they're magnets. It's like they're light bulbs. And they're called grahas. It's like that which moves across the sky, and they control karma. And what is karma? Karma, let's think about it like this. We have a spectrum of light. We have ultraviolet, we have X-rays, we have blue light, red light, all these different things, and there's lights that, like, some light we can see, some light we can't. Some animals can see certain lights that we can't. And so, like, they say dogs see black and white. I don't know if that's true, but it's like we have heat. Heat is a form of energy. We have light. Light is a form of energy. Sorry. And so the planets govern the energy of the universe. And so you want to know what the weather is, you check the weather app. You want to know what the astrology is? You don't just check your horoscope on the website. The Western astrology stuff. You don't like the weekly horoscopes, monthly horoscopes. Like, all the information you know about astrology is basically BS. Like, Western astrology, the astrology culture, if you look up astrologist near me on Google and you look at their website, they're going to talk about, like, weekly horoscopes, $20 a week. Or they'll give you a Western astrology reading. So, how do you know if somebody is a Western astrologer? They call themselves an astrologer without labeling themselves. How do you know if someone's a Vedic astrologer? They call themselves Vedic. So, if someone doesn't say what kind of astrology they're doing, assume it's tropical astrology, which is the Western astrology. So, tropical astrology is based on the seasons, and it's not actually based on the real positions of the planets, which is what sidereal uses. So Western astrology, first off, it doesn't show you where the planets actually are, and it's extremely basic and not advanced and washed away. It's diluted. It's extremely diluted. And so when someone says, I'm an Aries, I'm a Taurus, that's complete BS. You are not an Aries, you are not a Taurus. You are not just one zodiac sign. So when someone says that, what they're referring to is their sun sign. Now, it's so silly because your sun doesn't dictate your entire personality. I can go over briefly what the planets really do mean. So, the sun is like your vitality. It's like the life force. It's your ego. It kind of represents part of your inner strength. And so someone with a strong sun can command attention. They can receive the spotlight. A strong sun means they have a strong inner light to shine. Someone with a weak sun is more dependent on others in regards to their self-esteem. They want the validation more. Someone with a strong sun, they just shine and they don't apologize. Someone with a weak sun, they're more concerned about other people. And so a strong sun, weak sun isn't necessarily good or bad, because someone with a weak sun could be better for relationships in some ways, where someone with a strong sun, it's all about me, me, me. And so, for example, me, I have a very strong sun because I have a Virgo. My sun is Virgotama, which means it's the same sign in the D1 and the D9, which means it's double strength. And my sun is already in a strong position in the birth chart. My sun is in Leo. And so Leo is the natural sign of the sun. So there's three main things. There's the original sign of the planet, it's called own sign. There's exalted, and there's debilitated. The sun controls Leo. Leo is its own sign. That's where it feels the most comfortable. That's the king on the throne. Aries is the point of exaltation. It's even stronger than Leo. That's the king who's on the battlefield. Like, he's ready to win the war. Leo, he's at home chilling, enjoying himself. Aries, the king is ready to fight and he's fired up. So Aries is stronger than Leo, but Leo is more comfortable and more relaxed. It's the pride. Leo is pride. You're thankful for who you are, your family, your lineage, your people. You're just thankful and you're proud. Aries is more like ego. It's more like I'm better than others, not just I'm happy with myself. Kind of, right? And so the sun is debilitated in Libra, which is the opposite of Aries. It's the opposite sign. Aries is the first sign and Libra is the seventh. It's the top and the bottom. So Aries is the first and Libra is the seventh sign in regards to the all 12 signs in the order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, right? So Libra sun, it's considered debilitated, right? And so when a planet is in the own sign in the D1 and the D9, what is the D9? The D9 is the chart of who you become as you get older. Someone could have a strong birth chart, meaning they were born privileged. Their family had money. Their childhood was easy. And the D9, the Navamsha chart, that's what the D9 is called, Navamsha, it could be fucked up. A spoiled rich kid who becomes a drug addict and then he destroys his life, right? Let's say your birth chart is really weak, but your Navamsha is strong. You were born to poverty, you were abused, etc., but you overcome it and you live a better life and you become strong as you get older. That's what that looks like. So if you have a strong birth chart and a strong Navamsha, your life is easy, right? If your birth chart is weak and your Navamsha is weak, you're going to have likely a very difficult life, right? And so how do you judge if it's actually weak or strong? You can have, a strong and a weak planet doesn't always mean good or bad. You have to look at like the 6th house, the 8th house, the 12th house. Those are the difficult houses, and they don't always produce bad results. But I'm not going to get into all that right now. So if you have a planet that's the same sign in the D1 and the Navamsha, it means you were born like this and you stay like this for the rest of your life, which means it's consistent. Let's say someone has a debilitated Venus in the birth chart. That means they're going to have issues with their relationships when they're young. And now let's say in the Navamsha, the Venus changes into Gemini. Okay, so debilitated Venus is Virgo. Gemini, it's kind of neutral. Is it neutral? I don't know if it's like, let's just say it's neutral. So that means their Venus is debilitated and they're trying to change and get better as they get older. They're trying not really get better, but they're trying to run away from their problem. Okay, let me take a step back. Okay, look, birth chart, Navamsha. If the sign is the same in the birth chart and Navamsha, you become steady as you get older. It becomes stronger and you become rooted into it. So my Venus is debilitated in the birth chart. And so let's say my Venus was also debilitated in the Navamsha. If your Venus is in Virgo in the D1, the birth chart, and the D9, Navamsha, it's debilitated, but you eventually learn to overcome it and use your weakness to become a strength, and you learn from it. So if a planet is debilitated in the birth chart and the Navamsha, it gets better over time. Now, so even though it's debilitated in both, that's actually good because it's Virgotama, which makes it double strength. So that's actually good. So it's better for your planet to be debilitated in the birth chart and the Navamsha than for it to be debilitated in the birth chart and then go to a different sign other than debilitation in the Navamsha. But if it goes from debilitation to exaltation, that's called Nichbang Yoga or something like that, which means it's cancellation of debilitation. So my Venus is debilitated in the D1, but it's exalted in the D9. That means I'm going to have relationship struggles as I'm young. I'm not going to understand the value of relationship love as much as someone else might naturally understand. And I'm going to be overly critical of partners as I'm younger. But then I'm going to develop the most beautiful qualities as I get older because it's going to go into the strongest exaltation position as I get closer to age 36. So, and then there's also Virgotama with the D3 chart. Now this is getting into complicated stuff. So I'm not going to overwhelm you guys with all these things right now, but I will just touch on a variety of things. So like my sun, for example, it's in Leo in the birth chart and the Navamsha. So my sun is strong from birth, confident since I was young. And because it's for Gautama in the D9, my sun is super strong. My sun is very strong. And I'm not going to go into too many details of my chart, but my sun is really strong. And so what that means is I have this natural confidence and self-esteem. And but the thing is, my sun is aspected by K2. Now, aspect means that K2, okay, planetary aspects means a planet is impacting another house. And if there's a planet in that house that it is aspecting, it will impact that. So because my sun is 5 or 9 positions away from my K2 is impacting my sun. So what that kind of does is it actually humbles it. So my sun is super strong, but K2 humbles it in a way to where it's not so much out of hand. And so, yeah, I have arrogance and ego and stuff, but the K2, it spiritualizes it a bit, for example. So, like, I also have Mercury being aspected by my K2. So K2 represents sharp objects. It represents cutting. It represents breaks. So if your K2 is connected to Saturn in a certain way, it can mean breaks in the career. You have to change jobs. And so if you have K2 connected to Venus in a certain way, it means breaks in money, where you try to make money and there's just a break of the flow of energy. It just cannot manifest fully unless you learn to satisfy that energy of K2. Then the money can flow. And so how do you satisfy the energy of K2? You have to be detached. You have to let go of the attachment, then it flows, right? And so my Mercury is connected to K2. What does that do? It makes me extremely blunt. It makes me really harsh with my words often. I will say something without thinking about it because K2 is considered a headless planet. K2 is represented by a body without a head. It does not think. It just acts. So K2 is the opposite of Rahu. There are two halves of the same being split into two, and they're always opposite in the chart, 180 degrees apart, always exact opposites. Rahu is a head without a body. It's obsession. It just thinks, obsession, and it wants to consume. Think of like a bird with a hole in its neck. Have you seen that video? This bird has a hole in its neck. It eats the worm, and then it falls out of its neck, and then it eats it over and over and over, and it can never digest it because the water falls out of its neck, the worm, the food falls out of its neck. It's never satisfied. That's what Rahu represents. And so K2 connected to my Mercury. Mercury is the sign of communication. And so what that means is I say things without thinking about it. What that means is like I could be harsh, very blunt, straight to the point, because K2 does not think. It's also not like it has that lack of attachment. So Mercury is also intelligence, and K2 is intuitive. So K2 connected to my Mercury is why I am an intuitive person. K2 brings that intuitive quality to my intelligence. And so if K2 is connected to my moon, I might be more likely to, for example, have a different type of psychic ability. K2 plus Mercury is this it's this intuitive intelligence. But K2 connected to the moon is more like this empathic, where it's like you can almost see spirits type thing. It's like it's the emotions. So moon is the emotions. It's called the moon records. It's like not the muscle memory, but the record of all your emotions and your habits and like how you experience the world. The lens from which you experience reality is like the moon. It's like the same thing happens to two people, but how you interpret it is largely based on the moon. So someone has it connected to K2 connected to the moon, they might be kind of like cutthroat in the emotions a little bit. Not like, what I mean is like the processing is different, but it can also result in the veil of illusion of physical reality being cut, because the way they experience reality is being cut by K2, meaning they can access the spiritual realm. They can see the spirits. They can have these psychic experiences a little bit differently. Mercury is my intelligence. Someone with K2 and moon might see spirits. They might have these experiences. I've seen spirits a variety of times in my life. And I don't know if it's because K2 connected to my moon or what it is. Oh, no, K2 is not connected to my moon. Sorry, I misspoke. I don't know if it's because it's connected to my Mercury, but I don't know why I see spirits sometimes. What is it? There was this one combination I heard recently that causes it to happen. I forgot what it was. But anyway, my mom sees spirits 100 times more than I do. This is my mom's mom. This is my grandma. My mom she passed away several years ago. My mom still talks to her all the time. And even then, after she's passed, I feel more connected to her after her death. And recently, my mom put the picture of her up, and I'm feeling more and more connected to her now. And so, they say when someone passes, often you can become closer to them than when they were alive, because they're still there and you can communicate with them. And so, my mother's side of the family, like, she was into astrology and all that, so all the spirituality comes from my mom's side of the family. So, I'll just go into some more details on some of these planets. I'm going to grab an egg really quick. Don't mind me, so I can keep thinking. And so, yeah, I'll just go over, I was talking about the planets are like organs. This is just a general astrology video, just covering a variety of stuff. So, Mars is a very hot planet. Not actually, if you look at the planet, it's farther away from the sun, but it's a hot planet. It can make someone hot-headed, for example. It's aggressive. It causes injuries. It can cause accidents. It's fighting. It's the warrior. And so, the moon is kind of how you experience reality, right? And so if you have Mars with moon, you might be more likely to be irritable. You're more likely to interpret things in a more aggressive way. So someone with Mars and moon, for example, that's like having activity reins in iridology. Like, that person needs to be an athlete to not, be overly hot-headed and aggressive. They need to be exercising in order to use their Mars. So if Mars is with someone's moon, they need to use that Mars by exercising. If they don't activate their Mars intentionally, Mars will activate them without them wanting it to be activated, meaning it's going to make their emotions more aggressive, right? So the planet is going to manifest in your chart. It's going to affect you no matter what, whether good or bad. And if it's going to affect you in a bad way, you better understand what it's doing in your chart so that you can activate it before it activates on its own. So, for example, there's combinations to create criminals. So, K2 wants you to not be attached to things. It wants you to meditate in the mountains. And in certain combinations, K2 will send you to prison in order to make you meditate, in order to let go of attachment to reality. So K2 is not making you commit a crime to make you evil. K2 could make you commit a crime in order to send you to prison so you can meditate. So if you have the combination to be a criminal, you better renounce some things before you accidentally do something wrong and be forced to do it, because K2 doesn't care. It's going to force you to do what it wants you to do. So if you understand, if you have the combination to become a criminal, to go to prison, or this and that, you better figure out how to get that form of isolation in your life in a positive way to where you can still maintain your freedom. So, for example, I almost went... The chart shows everything, good and bad. And there are some things in the chart that you are better off not knowing. And there are some things in the chart that you should know. And so, not everybody can learn astrology. You can learn the basics, but you won't... The chart will not come to life for every single person. What I mean by that is you can look at a chart and you see their life. Intuitively, in your mind. For someone else, they look at the chart and they don't see anything. But if you don't have the combinations to learn astrology, you can still learn what the planets mean, and you can understand the basic language, and you can still look at the transits and what's going on, but it's not going to be as deep as someone who can really understand it. And so, a good astrologer is not going to tell you something that could scare you. If there's something bad that's going to happen in your life, the astrologer will tell you what you need to know to make sure that you prevent yourself from doing it without even knowing that it could happen in the first place. Does that make sense? Something really bad could happen in your life. And a good astrologer will tell you how to fix it without telling you that it might happen. Because if they told you that it could happen, that's going to scare the fuck out of you. Right? So it's better to not become scared. And now, so the astrology, here's the thing. Everything in reality is in the chart. Everybody in life has some difficulty in their life. Every single bad thing that could ever happen in your life is already like destined in your chart. You can theoretically lessen the impact of it. For example, if it's going to snow and you're going to be naked in the snow, you can die from the cold. You can't control whether it's going to snow or not, but you can build a house and dress warm and get the food ready for when winter comes. Winter's going to come no matter what. And if you prepare for winter properly, winter could actually be a nice thing. Winter could be a nice, enjoyable thing if you prepare for it properly. But winter's going to happen no matter what. So I'll just go over some more information. Just random video. The reason I'm recording in the house right now is because my car broke down. And so I don't know when it's going to be fixed. So, I got eggshell in my mouth. The car is broken down for a while. Well, that could be a whole nother video, but you know, okay, 8th house. 8th house is sudden events. It's transformation, accidents. It's also death. It's also inheritance, because when someone dies, that's a sudden thing. But then you get money from it because they died. So sudden events, whether it's good or bad, you could suddenly win the lottery. Or you could suddenly break your leg or have a car accident. So based on my chart, in the dasha that I am in right now, my 8th house is activated strongly. 8th house is occult, secret knowledge. It's psychology. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I've been obsessed about understanding why do we do what we do? Why are we the way we are? I want to know the secret knowledge. I want to know the things about myself that I don't know about myself. I want to know why I do what I do. That's 8th house. Psychology. Ogenus, like I said, Ogenus is occultist in one of the last videos. That's 8th house. And so I have strong 8th house activation in my life right now. And so the reason I've had accidents and cars breaking down over and over and these misfortunes is because my 8th house is activated. I just have to accept that this stuff is going to continue to happen for another few years. Cars are going to break down. Issues are going to happen randomly. And what do I have to do? I have to accept it and then understand that what happens is what's destined to happen. Don't get upset, because getting upset doesn't fix anything. Trust God that this happened because it needed to happen. Maybe the car broke down today because I would have gotten in an accident. Maybe the car broke down so I can make this video right now, so one of you will find this video at the perfect time to change your life. So, of course, I was pretty upset when the car broke down. I don't know how much it's going to cost to fix. Maybe it's going to cost nothing to fix. Maybe it's going to cost $500. Maybe it's going to cost $1,500. I don't have any money. I can't afford to fix it if it's going to be more than a little. And so I'm not going to get into that right now, but basically trust the universe and understand that what happens is what's destined to happen for your benefits, even if it's hard to see. Even if a tragedy happens in your life, you might be paying off some karma. You may have done something terrible in a past life, and you finally got to pay it off. And so, let's say that someone does you wrong, and you bring them revenge. You just undid that karma that you paid. If someone hurts you, and you forgive them, you probably just paid off a big karma. But if you get revenge on them, you just unevened that karma you paid off, and the karma's still there. It's like Capo said in a video before. If you have a bad service at a restaurant, at a business or anything, and you had something bad happen to you, like you got ripped off or whatever, you're probably paying off karma. And if you leave a bad review, then you're undoing that karma you paid. Now, this is kind of debatable stuff, because what if we should raise awareness for other people so that they don't get hurt. The theory is kind of that if they did you wrong, they will receive the karma without you having to do anything. Now, I understand, you might not resonate with what I just said. I know a lot of people won't. But that's something that I kind of live by. I don't believe in revenge. And I've even left a bad review for somebody before because they were rude to me. And then I watched the video from Capel saying, don't leave bad reviews. So I deleted the bad review because I trust him. And so you might not agree with me on what I just said, but just think about it on your own. And so here's an elephant. I don't know what this is made out of. I don't even know where it's from. Elephant is Jupiter. It came to my attention sitting right there. I decided to grab it. Jupiter is one of the main significators of astrology. Jupiter is the guru, but it's more so pronounced guru. Guru. I'm trying to get the pronunciation proper. Guru. It's like the R, you do a duh, like guru. Because the R in the Sanskrit, there's a duh. So like when you say like, I'm trying to think of a word. Bor. Like B-H-U-R. It's not bore, it's bor. Right? And the A-H you have to fix, you have to aspirate, like, bor. So the pronunciation, I think it's important. But anyway, Jupiter, guru. It's still hard to say. Guru. No, there's no H in it, so it's guru. It sounds weird for me saying it, but when I hear an Indian say it, they can say it naturally. Jupiter is guru. It's the teacher. It's the guide. It's a bright star in the sky. It's not a star, but it represents morality. It represents ethics. But here's the thing. Jupiter isn't always this easy teacher. It can be like almost like a general sometimes. And it's not always a celibate either. Jupiter in your life brings teachers. You know, if you're destined to have a mentor, a strong role model in your life, whether it's male or female, it'll come because Jupiter blessed you with that. And so wherever Jupiter is, it kind of protects that house. And wherever it aspects, it also protects that area. And so, for example, in my chart, I have a debilitated Venus in the birth chart. So I'm going to be dealing with some relationship karma as I'm younger. But because it's exalted in the Navamsha, that means that it's going to get better as I get older. And so I'm kind of still in the younger phases, so I'm still probably going to have some relationship challenges. But here's the thing. My Jupiter's aspecting my Venus. That means it's not so bad because Jupiter is protecting it. I'm still going to deal with some difficult karmas, but it's not going to be super bad because Jupiter's aspecting it. And just because you have a debilitated Venus doesn't mean it's going to be super bad. You have to look at other things too. And if I even went into explaining how to see, it's going to overwhelm you right now. It's going to be too much to understand how to see it, really. But, Jupiter brings optimism. So I've dealt with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of difficulty and hardship in my life. But my Jupiter is pretty strong. I would say my Jupiter is pretty strong because it is for Gautama. It's like Vadagottama because the R is the D on it. Vadagottama. Vadagottama in the D9. And so the Navamsha. And so, and then I also have a yoga that's being formed with my Jupiter that provides strength. And anyway, I think my Jupiter's pretty good, which means that I have a level of optimism. If my Jupiter was not strong, I would probably be bitter. I'd probably be spiteful. But despite me having a lot more difficulty in life than I would say most people, I remain optimistic. Because I understand that it's all about learning and growth and paying off karma. And Jupiter probably helps me with my attitude with that. And so, Saturn is your career. It's your karma. It's your duty towards the world. What are you supposed to do for society? It represents old people. Like Jupiter's the teacher. Saturn is old people. Also represents your uncle. It is... Like Moon is the mother. Venus is woman in general. It's the wife. Mars is younger brother. Saturn is older brother. Mercury is your friends. Mercury is a merchant. Sun is the father. Rahu is the outcast. Ketu is the yogi, the renunciate. Jupiter is more so the monk because it's religious. Ketu is not necessarily the monk. It's the person who has no religion. They're in the caves meditating. They don't have a teacher. They're alone. A Jupiter type person will have a teacher and a guide. So Agnus is Jupiter, because Agnus is the leader of a lineage. So you're honoring your teacher. I'm honoring Agnus as my guru. And so I say I'm an Agnus devotee. I'm honoring Agnus, my teacher, my guide. And he's been a great help for me. And so that's Jupiter. That's guru. And so Saturn is career. It's karma. Saturn slows things down. It's a very slow-moving planet. Saturn controls the sign of Capricorn and Aquarius. I think my mom just got home. So, because Saturn controls Capricorn and Aquarius, and Saturn is a slow-moving planet, any planet that's in Saturn's sign, Capricorn or Aquarius, it's gonna be more slow. It's gonna demand more patience to produce fruit. It might even represent older people. For example, someone with Venus in a Saturn sign, the spouse would be more Saturnian, more mature, older. And if Venus is in a Mercury sign, then the person is going to be more mercurial. Mercury is a young person. They're kind of excited. They are dual-natured. Mercury is a dual sign planet, meaning it has multiple sides to it. It could also represent multiple partners, or like you have multiple marriages, depending on certain combinations, of course. You have to see the combinations. And so, Moon is the mind, how you experience things. Mercury is the intelligence of the mind. Mercury is the intellect. It's the rational thinking. Jupiter is the morals and the ethics, the dharma. It's like D-H-A-R-M-A, and the R is the duh, so it's dharma. Like dharma. Dharma. I'm still getting the pronunciation down. And then Mars is younger brother. It's warrior. The video ended on its own. I don't know why. It might be phone storage. I deleted some videos to save space, create space. I looked outside. It wasn't my mom, the neighbor's home, so I guess I don't have to think about that. Mars is the husband of a woman's chart. And so, I'm kind of just sharing little tidbits of random stuff. If you want to see, so the ascendant, it's almost like a planet. The ascendant is your first house. It's the east direction. And so it's the first sign of your chart. And so even if you don't have a planet in the first house represents a lot about you. And so if you're a Virgo ascendant, you're going to have Virgo qualities because it represents you. Jupiter also represents you in a different way. It's called the Jiva, which is like the breath, the living soul. And so the ascendant shows kind of like the karmic path that you're following, and Jupiter shows you inside of that journey. And so planets seen from the ascendant, like Jupiter in the fourth house from the ascendant, that's going to show something different than if you look at, or let's give a different example, Mars in the fourth house from the ascendant. Your karma is going to look like Mars in the fourth house. That's the themes that's going to manifest for you in your life. Now, if you look at if Mars was instead 4 positions away from Jupiter, that shows something about you rather than your life. It's a little bit of a difference, right? Things that happen to you versus things that you do. But they kind of overlap in some ways. I'm still trying to understand it in this technique in particular. And so, astrology is like chess. You look at how many positions away from other things, like how many they are. So like my Mars is 3 positions away from my Jupiter. So that means that, that's going to create some sense of bravery because third house is courage and Mars there creates that strength. Or my Venus is 5 positions away from my Jupiter. And what that means is the fifth. Okay, so 5 positions away from anything always represents the qualities of Leo. Always represents qualities of the 5th house. The 5th sign is Leo. So that means my wife, my girlfriends will have a big ego. Because Jupiter, 5 positions away from Jupiter is my Venus. So that means, like, I know I said the thing about the ascendant and Jupiter. I'm still figuring it out, but this is what I'm learning in the course, and I've seen it in my girlfriends that I've had. So my Venus is 5 positions away from my Jupiter. That means, well, either I'm going to attract women like that, or they're going to become like that after they meet me. And so essentially, the woman in my life will have this strong ego. They will want to be, like, on the throne of the king with me. Or it's like Jupiter and Venus together. It's like they're on the throne. In the 5th house, it's like the courtroom, they said. I don't remember what it was. I don't know the analogy, but he basically explained that, like, Kapil Raj, the Jupiter with Venus, I don't remember how to explain it. Okay, take back what I said a little bit about the throne or the courtroom or whatever. But, you know, my Venus is 5 away from Jupiter, which is, I'm very lucky to have that. So Venus 5 positions away from Jupiter, that means my Venus is being blessed by Jupiter, which means that it has a high likelihood of marriage. And just because you don't have that combination doesn't mean you can't get married. There's other ways to look at it too. But essentially, my relationships have they have some form of protection from Jupiter. And so Venus 5 positions away from my Jupiter means that my first child could be very likely to be a daughter, because Venus is a woman and the 5th house represents children. And my moon is also 5 positions away from my Jupiter. And moon is also a female planet, even though moon is a man in the mythology. My Venus and moon are in Virgo, which is the most feminine sign. I actually have a lot of feminine qualities in my chart. I could be considered a very feminine person, even though I'm a man. And so almost all my planets are in feminine signs, except for my Sun and Mercury, and my Rahu and Ketu. And so my Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Venus, and Moon are all in feminine signs. What are the feminine signs? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. The even signs. Odd are masculine. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So let me go over the feminine signs. Taurus, 2nd sign. Cancer, 4th sign. Virgo, 6th sign. Scorpio, 8th. Capricorn, 10th. Pisces, the 12th. And so I think that Pisces is the most feminine sign, and then Virgo is the second most feminine, or it might be the other way around, but Virgo is represented by a virgin woman. It's represented by a woman on a boat coming to the land to heal people with medicine. The virgin woman who wants to heal people, basically. And so, because my Venus is in Virgo, the women I date tend to look young. If you look at all the girlfriends I've had, if you saw what they looked like, you'd all think that they were younger than they actually were. And that's just the type of woman I manifest in my chart. And my Mars is in a feminine sign. I'm emotionally driven. If a woman has Mars in a masculine sign, she's more likely to be having some more difficulty in her relationships, according to Kapil Raj, because she's going to be more masculine. But a man with a feminine Mars doesn't have as much of an issue, for whatever reason, he said. And so I don't feel bad to have the feminine signs. I'm happy. I'm like, I love it, because I love the feminine energy. And so I embrace it. And so I could get into a lot of different things. Should I just keep going? If you're listening this far, you're probably still interested, so you might as well probably want to continue to listen. Mars, they say Mars has thorns. It hurts wherever it is. It's a malefic planet. If you have Mars in the 4th house is your emotional well-being, mental peace. It's the home. If you have Mars in the 4th house, you're more likely to not have as much peace at home more fighting at home, because Mars is wanting to be in the 10th house, which is the career. It's the it's the it's the field. It's outside the house. Mars doesn't want to be stuck at home. He wants to be out doing things. Mars at home gets frustrated, you know. And so Venus likes to be in the 4th house. Enjoyment at home. Venus is pleasure, it's luxury. Moon is also related to pleasure. And so Moon is like how you experience things. It also relates to your desires in a way. And so when Moon is with Venus, it wants to enjoy things. It wants the pleasure. But here's one thing. Does Venus come before Moon or after, based on the position of your planets? If Moon is sitting after Venus, your mind already has the Venus qualities in it naturally. If Venus is after Moon, Moon is going to be working to that. My Venus is before my Moon. I naturally already have these Venusian qualities in myself. And so I would say I do have a lot of the Venus qualities in that way, in my mind and stuff. And, might even relate to substance use or the love of pleasure, intimacy. It's also in the feminine sign, which is about enjoyment. It's the receiving. It's like it's experiencing. Masculine is more doing, feminine is more receiving, right? But the feminine is like related to expression. But here's the thing. Because my Venus and Moon are in Virgo, Virgo is a sign of service. It wants to serve people. And so a big part of my chart, based on my combinations, I receive my emotional well-being by helping people. That's one of the most foundational parts of my chart. I receive my emotional well-being and sense of peace by serving people. And so when I tell people how they should live their lives, I'm biased. I'm telling you what works for me. So what makes me happy is helping people, serving people. It has to do with those Virgo qualities and certain combinations I have in my chart. But I don't want to reveal the whole chart. And so Venus and Moon in Virgo. Venus in Virgo is like you're wanting to nitpick your partners to an extent because you're serving them. You're trying to fix them rather than just enjoying them for how they are. So in my relationships, I'm always trying to self-help with my partners, work on my partners. The reason Venus is debilitated there is because it's not enjoying things, it's working. Venus doesn't want to be working, it wants to be enjoying. And the partners don't want to be nitpicked, they just want to be accepted and enjoy things. Moon in Virgo is not the best position. Like, forget about good and bad, but it's considered not the easiest position. Not always, because it's thinking a lot, overthinking. Virgo is like the accountant. It's like crunching numbers. Thinking, analyzing. And so I wish I could reveal my whole chart. I'm not going to share my whole chart unless the universe gives me permission to. I have some sign that says that I can reveal it. But it's largely about service. My chart. And healing people. And developing relationships with people and connecting with people. And building community. You want to know yourself? Learn your chart? I recommend getting a reading from Kapil Raj. Highly recommend it. Get a Venus and Wealth reading. Mahadasha is the planetary time period. I'm in Rahu Mahadasha. And the Mahadasha... So Rahu Mahadasha lasts for 18 years. Venus Mahadasha is about 20. Sun is 7 years. And whatever planetary time period you're in, that's what you're in. So if you started Sun in 2013, you're going to be running it till 2020, for example. And that's how you track the timing of events. What dasha is activated, and then you look at the planets that are affecting the positions that your dasha activates. And so if your dasha is activating the 7th house, and then Jupiter transits the 7th house, you might get a really good relationship because relationships are active, and then Jupiter brought the timing. So the dasha kind of shows you what doors are open, and the planets shows what character is walking through that door. So Venus shows woman in your life, whether you're a woman or man. And so 7th house is like the door of committed relationship. 5th house is romance. 8th house is like sex, hookup kind of type things. 12th house is also related to bed pleasures and hookups in a different type of way. But, where are the women in your life? Are the women transiting your 8th house right now? That's the direction they are. But if your 8th house isn't activated, then the women aren't going to be meeting you. It's like, so Venus is the woman, Sun is the father, all this and that. Those are the characters and the chessboard and the clock moving around. Now, for those characters to actually interact with you in your life, the doors have to be open, or else they're just standing behind them and they can't get through them. And so if relationships aren't activated and you're trying to get a girlfriend, you're kind of just wasting your time. But here's the thing. There's all these advanced things in astrology. Like, there's dozens of different types of charts and analysis, and something might be activated in some chart that you never looked at before and that's not very well used, not widely used. But, the most widely used things is the most clear to see. But by knowing what's going on in your life, you can get more out of it because you don't have to waste your time doing things that aren't active. But, some things might be active without you knowing it because of some secret technique that we aren't aware of, right? But there are some things that are clear to see, generally speaking. And so, anything else to say? I could do the singing bowl for a moment.